within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Bass, so despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Pittsburgh, this the hospitality y'all got for your boy? This the hospitality y'all got for your boy? Don't worry. Because on behalf of me, my son, these wonderful young ladies, and all the Flock Nation, we got a special message for y'all, Pittsburgh.
Steelers still suck!
Yeah! And we bout that. You got a problem with that? Come see me. Big Trust, Flock Nation in the flesh. Yes, sir. And with the 45th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Zion Young, linebacker, Missouri. Let's go. Berg, we still doing this? Y'all still hating on the player, huh? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Oh, boy.
Hey, but I like Pittsburgh. Every time I've been to Pittsburgh and played in y'all stadium, I'm 2-0. Over 100 yards in the game, 2 touchdowns. And y'all really gonna feel the love when my Ravens take their rightful spot as the kings of the AFC North. I got my missile with me in case y'all got problems. But with the 80th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Jacoby Lane, wide receiver, USC. Flock Nation, let's go!
Very strong performance from Mark Ingram and his son at the draft this weekend. Good morning. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. And yeah, the Ravens made a boatload of picks, and we will obviously have a full, thorough film breakdown of Josh Cuevas. Everything I like, everything I don't like.
So you're higher on him than Hibner.
Man, you have no idea. I have no idea which one I have any thoughts about. Ryan Eckley gonna break down every punt that he ever had.
Well, that one you did call. Yeah, you're right.
That's true. No, I didn't actually. That was one of the punters I didn't pick. Right?
No, I thought you
did. I thought I got one. I got Surratt, so I'm good. Ken lost. I'm safe.
Drew had Eckley. Yeah.
Drew. You and Drew had 2 each.
Yeah,
right?
we had 2 each. We did a pretty good job, I thought, like just naming players that got drafted by the Ravens.
Because we got 5 of the
11, I guess.
11.
Yeah, I mean, they did take 11 players. So maybe
it's
that's
not that bad.
Yeah, KZ got 0.
Yeah, rough weekend for KZ. KZ's going to have to eat some Malort wings while the rest of us get to enjoy some Orange Crush wings. As KZ went over, he was in the thread making excuses. Like, what I meant was the Bengals. I meant the Bengals draft. That's what I thought we were. I thought we were drafting Bengals draft picks.
Well, we can do all 32 teams next time, and
well, then I think we'd be okay. I think we
just name players to get
the first 80 picks.
Well, no, we'd have to go. Well, I think the Bengals are taking these 80 players. One of these 80 players, and then.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that whatsoever. But the draft did not go Ken Zales' way. I believe he's lost every time he's participated in the draft, if I remember correctly, because he did have to wear the Quinn Miners belly shirt and consume the milk and spaghetti-o pie. Maybe Paul Valley lost the draft one year because I do remember he had to eat a mustard watermelon. Yeah, that's the way that I felt about the topic as well. I do remember his mother messaging and saying it's important to eat all of your colors. And I was like, well, he's got a lot of on his plate currently, so you're right about that. But KZ is our draft loser. It's a weird. You want me to talk about we talked obviously plenty about Venga Ioane. here's my reaction. I'm as confused as you are about the fact that the Ravens saw that many centers go off the board during the course of the draft and did not prioritize finding someone that was believed to be a starting caliber center. That is confusing. And my analysis, I'm not going to pretend like I know so scary much about Adam Randall. I know there's lots of people in the draft world that are very excited about Adam Randall.
We don't know as much about Steve Bashad.
You got to try. Yeah, apparently, right? That was apparently his pick. You got to try really hard to find someone who was drafted that you can't find someone who has a positive opinion about them. So I'm not going to do the bit where I sit here and try to tell you, the Ravens, God, they did amazing. There's some interesting things. For me, I more look at where the Ravens are from a roster perspective. And while Vengai Ioane, if you had any trepidation about the Ravens taking a guard at 14, some of that you could juxtapose against the fact that the Ravens needed guard help. And it was their biggest area of need. But if then you were prioritizing need, it's really hard to figure how they didn't end up getting a center in rounds 2, 3, 4, where a boatload of starting centers appeared to come off the board. Sam Hecht was definitely still on the board in day 3. And again, it might very well be that the Ravens would tell you, if we had drafted Sam Hecht, he wouldn't have been our starting center. We don't think that highly of him. And if that's the case, then okay. But it doesn't change your reality at the position. And maybe, as I suggested in a conversation with, who are we talking about it with on Friday? I feel like it came up with Michael Pierce, maybe, that perhaps going guard in round 1 is their way of saying we're going to need the rest of the offensive line to lift up our center because we know it's not going to be someone that we're going to have an extraordinary amount of faith in. I don't know. I don't know. That's the reality of where we're at. I don't know what they're doing there. I can be reminded that Danny Pinter at least has some experience in the NFL. He started 3 games as a center in the league.
I'm not worried about it.
Which is 3 more than Corey Bullock has, for what it's worth. I think a lot of us believe they would default to Corey Bullock of their internal options just because they liked him enough that he made the team. They clearly thought something of him. I had somebody ask me over the weekend, is there any world where they've been having Andrew Voorhees secretly work out at center because they knew they were going to be...
But by candlelight at night,
no clue. No clue. And I think I said at one point over the weekend, I did so many goddamn shows and games.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah.
My brain stopped working at some point. And it was also my wife's birthday, so I just had a lot going on this weekend. And then of course we had Project Runway on Friday night.
That's right. I forget.
I went show, Project Runway, 7 a.m. show BAL, mid-afternoon lacrosse game, wife's birthday, then 4 lacrosse games yesterday, and then I had to do another wife's birthday because
she had 2.
I don't know how this works. I got to look into this because I know as a fact that I do not get – oh, by the way, we still have to do another one next week.
Ah, nice. So I didn't miss it.
It's not a milestone. It's just a random birthday, and we're doing all the birthdays.
They're all milestones.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
At this point, I would say every day she's alive. Given the way she drives, I do think it's a miracle that we should celebrate every day that she's alive. So my brain just, and I think I said at one point this weekend on one of these shows that after June 1st, they don't count against compensatory picks, which is not true. It's actually today.
Nice.
And so that was the conversation that a lot of us were using in the context of David Njoku. But after the Ravens draft 2 tight ends and now have 4 on the roster, it's harder to believe that David Njoku is going to be part of the conversation. It's hard enough to figure out a way for 4 to be on the team. Now, they're presumably not going to have. I mean, it's Declan Doyle has already said he's not going to use a fullback. So, like, you do have that roster spot that in the past Pat Ricard was soaking up. And whether or not that goes to a running back or whether that goes to a tight end, I guess we now lean a little bit more towards it's going to go to a tight end because they've got 4 already. So, presumably not Njoku. They could still sign someone. I was trying to look at the list of centers that are still available.
Yeah, what'd you find?
Not a whole lot. Well, you know, it's funny. Like one name that poked out, I think Ethan Posic's name was on the list, and I was like, oh, well, Ethan Posic, that's a pretty good option. I'd take that. And then I looked and saw that Ethan Posic like had his year end by like a torn Achilles or something like that, and so I think the reason why he's available is he might not actually be available. Hang on a second. List of current. No, I want.
We got Nick Dawkins, the Awani's teammate, right? Like that's.
I don't know who that
He's
is.
the undrafted guy that they signed from Penn State.
Sure.
Penn State's captain. Yeah.
Go right from undrafted free agent to starting center.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well,
saying,
he's gonna be playing next to Awane, so yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm led to believe is that I could play center next to Awane. Right.
That's sure. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. Yeah. The list of available centers, according to Spot Track, Graham Glasgow retired, right?
I'll find out.
I thought maybe he didn't. Maybe that is interesting. Oh, Sam Mustipher, former Ravens Sam Mustipher, is available. Ryan Bates. I know nothing about Ryan Bates, but he was in Chicago with Ben Johnson. So
apparently, the last thing he said was, "We'll see."
Oh, he's not definitely. I
don't
thought
see
I
an
remember
update
Graham
since.
Glasgow retiring. Is he not retired?
Looks like he doesn't want. Well, it's unclear whether the 33-year-old Glasgow intends to retire.
Okay.
But he said goodbye to the Lions fans.
Ryan Bates was in Chicago the last 2 years, but he started a grand total of 2 games during that time, so I don't think that would be the option. Although
two more than anybody else on the roster.
Who knows? And James Daniels, what's the story on James Daniels? Oh, he's more of a guard than he is a center.
That sounds like a European footballer.
Maybe Graham Glasgow is the guy that's like waiting for the Ravens to call. Maybe that's because I'm not opposed to Graham Glasgow as like a stopgap. Is he really? Has he been playing center though? Has he been playing guard? Yeah, he's been playing way more guard. He's played center in the past, but he's been playing way more guard. So I don't know if that's something that he'd want to do at this point. The options are what they are. And
he wasn't playing next to Vango Awane before.
Great point.
Now there's a draw.
But if that's the math that we're working with, then you just maybe stick with Corey Bullock and Danny Pinter and say we've got our guys. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that wasn't a priority for the Ravens. The tight end thing, I think a lot of people expected it to come earlier. They would prioritize tight end maybe on night 2, find a little bit more of like that stud, athletic freak type of tight end. They end up getting 2 of them. How they fit in, Cuevas and Hibner, I don't know. I don't know how those 2 guys fit in and whether you can expect a lot from them early on in their career. They certainly look the part, right? Like there's definitely a central casting factor involved when it comes to those 2 guys. And if I remember correctly, Josh Cuevas, I just want to make sure I have the number, he was a pretty significant red zone target at Alabama. And so as they try to replace Isaiah Likely, that was one thing that you could really count on him for. And so, you know, I'm listening. Hang on a second. Cuevas, he only had 4 touchdowns. Maybe it was Hibner. Was Hibner more of a red zone, like a significant red zone contributor? Yeah, Cuevas had a total of 5 touchdowns. Yeah, that's not it. Oh boy, this is what happens when you're trying to learn about 100 football players at once, and you're just like, oh right, I know I heard something about that guy. I could have sworn. Oh, what was it? Sorry. Matthew
Hibner had 8 touchdowns in 6 seasons.
Oh.
Across 6 Senate.
All right, well, then I take it all back. They
started
all
at
stink.
Michigan, so that's how he knew Minter.
Well, it might be, or it might be that they just scouted him, and I mean, Minter was on the other side.
The Sun said that they did cross that they were.
I'm sure that he brought. Oh yeah, I remember seeing him around. Like Rayshon Benny, who they ended up grabbing in the 7th round,
Sure.
of course, a former Michigan defensive tackle. My theory was right to draft Michigan defensive players.
Yeah, you got the wrong one.
I just shot too high.
Yeah.
Went way too high.
You missed on Barham.
Derek Moore and Rolder. Yeah, I mean, I just shot too high in my expectations for when they were going to take him. Like, I had 2 theories correct. Draft punters and draft Michigan defensive players. I just picked the wrong ones. Just failed spectacularly.
I was glad to be like kind of in cruise control entering day 3, where I was like, I got 2, you guys have 0.
Right.
I'm good.
Drew had 1, didn't he? Yeah, he already had.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They took Lane late.
He had Lane.
Okay. Yeah,
he had
you're
Lane
right.
from round 3.
Okay.
Lane and Surratt, definitely more red zone. Those are guys that are serious red zone targets and look the part a little bit more than, some of the wide receivers the Ravens have gone with, obviously, earlier in the draft.
Flashy catches.
Zay Flowers and Hollywood Brown. Like, they are more of that, extend drives, physical player. Now, there's a lot of questions about Lane as far as his separation is concerned. And can he make up for that entirely with his catch radius? He was one of the worst separation receivers in all of college football a year ago. What is he here to do? I was talking with someone yesterday about where does Lane slot in, and I would think that he's right now the 4th receiver. Like, I don't think he's above Tez Walker. I think this weekend kind of certifies that for now Tez Walker is the Ravens' 3rd receiver. And that, of course, can change if Lane or Surratt really splashes in the offseason, training camp, and preseason games. We'll find out. But right now, my gut tells me that both of them are behind and trying to work. Now, as was pointed out to me by a few folks, some of these feelings that I have, some of my gut instincts are based on we've been covering the way that John Harbaugh and the Ravens have been doing business for 20 years. And so some of those feelings, when I say, like, I don't think either one of those jumps ahead, it might very well be that Declan Doyle and Jesse Minter have no problem with a 4th-round draft pick being someone who ends up starting. We just don't have a whole lot of experience to base it off of. Is it a true competition? Are you really in there potentially earning a job and everybody's got the same opportunity, or are you defaulting to higher draft picks? These are the types of things that we have to learn about how the Ravens will operate with a new coaching staff moving forward. But there's nothing that they did this weekend that bothers me. There's nothing that I say, I can't believe. I know a lot of people were like, oh, the only thing they could do in round 1 that would piss me off is draft Jeremiah Love. Well, they were never drafting Jeremiah Love. And I think a few people would have been bothered by like a safety in round 1 just because it doesn't appear to be a need. There's nothing that they did that could possibly bother me. Do I feel like they're dramatically closer to being a Super Bowl contender? That, to me, has way more to do with Lamar Jackson and whether he's healthy and what he looks like than it has to do with any of the other pieces that surround him. I certainly feel better about their front 7 because of the presence of Trey Hendrickson. I like Zion Young. I like, no pun intended, the edge he brings. Yeah, you see what I did. But can I be certain that Zion Young will be more impactful than, the early stages of David Ajabo or Adisa Isaac or Adafe Owe? I can't. I like everything about him. I love that he is someone who you can count on to set the edge and has also proven to be impactful in getting after quarterbacks too. Those are good things. But that transition has been a bit more difficult for edge rushers than it necessarily has been at some other positions. And so I don't think that I am counting on a rookie edge rusher immediately being a game changer. But I do like the profile of Zion Young. He was someone that I was interested in coming into the draft. let's talk a little bit more about what it is the Ravens did over the course of the 3 days. Joining us now, you see him on WJZ. You know him as a Super Bowl 35 champion. He is our friend Qadry Ismail, and he is back with us once again here on GCR. Qadry, it's Glenn. It's great as always to catch up, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Of course. This is the good time of year to sit back and speculate on what potential draft choices are going to look like.
Yeah, it's the eternal we actually have no idea, but let's talk about it anyway type of conversation, because that's what we're doing. And as I said, Qadry, like, nothing the Ravens did could bother me in any way. Like, there's nothing to not like about their top picks. I think I want to talk with you a little bit about Jacoby Lane and just one question there, but can I have any beef with them drafting Venga Ioane, who everyone on the planet believes is an NFL-ready mauler? Everything you see on tape looks really good, and it was clearly a position of need. I know we can quibble about whether or not you should draft guard when you have the 14th overall pick, but it looks like Venga Ioane is a heck of a good one, so it's really hard for me to be bothered by it.
Yeah, no, I think Venga Ioane, for me, he was my choice. I thought that after watching last year's fiasco of the guard position and just how the abject failure of protecting Lamar or really creating any significant, consistent running lanes, it just was like, this is the clear and obvious choice. Go out and get the absolute best player that can fit Dwayne Ledford, the new offensive line coach's scheme, and let's go. And sure enough, Ioane was the guy, and I am so glad that he's on our squad.
Does it surprise you at all that they followed that up by not selecting a center and sort of now defaulting to kind of a we don't know situation where maybe it's Corey Bullock, maybe it's this veteran Danny Pinter who's barely played and has only started 3 games at center in his career? Like, does it surprise you that there was such a priority about addressing guard and that they didn't maybe prioritize the center position as the draft went on?
It did. And, the whole idea of, getting the draft and evaluating it and looking at, what's best for your team, I thought that this draft theme should have been restoring the trenches and allowing for, some real big boys to kind of set the tone for what this offense and defense could potentially be under Jesse Minter and his staff. So I was a little bit surprised by that. I do look at, some of the later picks as well as when it comes to the young man out of Penn State. I think he's an undrafted free agent, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and I think in that regards, all right, Pinter, all right, now it's time to compete. So I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. You made your bed, you lay in it. Now let's go ahead and see what the competition looks like. But I think that, yes, looking back on it, it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and it's funny, Qadry, by the way, you were talking about Nick Dawkins, who was the undrafted center they took out of Penn State.
You, Nick. Yes.
But I wonder if what they would say is we have great faith. Now that Ioane is on the other side, we have great faith that, like, you can't always have top guys at each position. If what we're going with at center is someone with less experience, we can live with that because we believe that with Ioane to his left and Simpson to his right, that player is going to have the opportunity to sort of learn on the job. Is that too much of a risk? Do they need to be exploring, like, bringing in someone? It's thin now at this point. There's not a lot of guys like that out there. Maybe Graham Glasgow, although he's been more of a guard than a center. Like, can you get away with that if you feel better about the rest of your line?
Well, I thought we felt really good about the fact that you had one of the best centers in all of football in Tyler Linderbaum, and you had one of the best tackles in Ronnie Stanley in all of football, and you had a young stud in Rosengarten. But what happened? You had a 1-5 start. Why? Because you had players along the defensive front that was harassing Lamar Jackson, disrupting the timing and rhythm of the offense. Why? Because you had Voorhees and you had Baalele, guys that could literally do an excellent job of blocking the wind and missing.
Hey, you're not wrong. I wish you were, but you're not wrong. That's the reality that faces them. Qadry Ismail is with us here on GCR. Qadry, it's interesting. I want to bring this up to you because I thought that the selection of Jacoby Lane fascinated me because it felt a little bit like them maybe uniquely prioritizing the red zone, and that being perhaps the biggest part of what they lost in terms of Isaiah Likely, because I think a lot of us thought that maybe tight end would be a higher priority. They went receiver there, and it felt like it was more of a red zone, catch radius, extend drives guy. Everybody brings up the separation thing, and he had some of the worst separation of any primary receiver in college football a year ago. It is, I guess it's twofold. One, can that improve? Can that be something that gets better? Or is it okay that someone is more of a catch radius, you're here to be the red zone guy, we need you to catch touchdowns, keep drives alive, we're not going to worry too much about how much separation you're getting?
I throw caution to the wind when it comes to this whole idea of, he's a red zone guy. Because in the red zone, you're going to have corners playing up on you a lot better. And yes, you might have gotten away with certain things in college, but being open in college, if you can visualize what a yard and a half looks like, that's wide open. In the pro game, wide open is literally a half a step. One half a step NFL. And so if you had difficulty separating in college, it will be challenging to separate in the pros. Now, with that said, you got scheme. You got an ability to be in a position where your rubs, your timings, your different flow of the offense and how you can get open. That's cool. The red zone, though, there's not a lot of time, and you got another athlete on the other side of the ball who's getting paid to play too. You're not talking about the second and third guy on your roster who, didn't make it to the chemistry class in time. You're talking about a guy that is going to be an all-pro as well. So I'm cautiously optimistic about his abilities and what he can do. I am more like, all right, we'll see. That's how I'm looking at it.
I can appreciate that. I think that I've kind of approached it as I don't think he jumps ahead of Tez Walker on the depth chart for the Ravens. It just kind of feels to me like maybe right now you're hoping he can be a jump ball guy. I say it all to say, like, they go receiver in the third round and the fourth round then with Elijah Surratt, the former St. Francis standout. Have they done enough? Like, did they have a receiver room, losing Hopkins but bringing in 2 mid-round picks? Is there enough there that you feel like Declan Doyle has all the pieces he needs to work with in order to bring the version of Lamar Jackson that we all knew before a year ago back out?
Your top 3 receivers has tons of experience with Lamar Jackson. Your top 4 pass catchers in Mark Andrews, Bateman, Flowers, and Tez all have great abilities to make big plays and catches for Lamar Jackson. Those other 2 dudes are going to be developing. So I don't look at it as a situation where it's, oh boy, I don't know if Lamar has enough. No, he has enough, and it's about him just developing into the Declan Doyle's offense, and then, you got to carve a role for yourself if you're Durham Smythe. You got to carve a role for yourself. Are you going to be, Jacoby and Elijah, are you going to be guys that know the offense so well that you can do multiple things on a given series? And so that's going to be the challenge that I'm anxious to see.
We keep talking about Tez. It's interesting because we're still talking about someone that only had 8 targets all season a year ago. But we also know that 3 of them went for touchdowns, and he had a knack for explosive plays. Are you confident that Tez Walker is ready to be a more consistent part of this offense moving forward?
Absolutely. I saw it last offseason. I think that when you look at Tez's game and some of the routes that he ran and some of the play calling that, was put into place, I think that Declan should be drooling, because I think the Bears offense and how they schemed guys, it fits well within what Tez's capabilities are. And I think anytime you have that much confidence in your game and the way in which he ran routes and the way in which he was open and the way in which he showed up in big moments, yeah, this is the logical next step.
When you look at this roster on paper, Qadry, what now coming out of the draft? I mean, again, there is still the possibility of adding a veteran free agent, and there probably still will be some cuts both in June and, in training camp. But this is largely now what the Ravens are going to be going to battle with. Do you look at the whole of this roster and say, yes, this is a group that can get them right back to competing to go to a Super Bowl?
I think the D-line is still, in my mind, up in question.
With Matabike, yeah.
Well, I just don't think you're going to depend on Matabike.
Yeah.
And so who's that other guy? That to me is in question. I do think, again, I go back and look at scheme again. I say that word because, yes, Anthony Weaver and Jesse's schemes are going to be, I think, way, way more of an upgrade than what we've seen. Kind of in that Mike McDonald-esque type of a fold. But if you can't get to the quarterback, it doesn't matter who you have in the secondary, you're going to struggle. So I think the scheme of the defensive front and having a strong rotation is going to be super important.
As you say that, are they asking too much? Like I've just brought up before you came on that we have seen edge rushers in particular maybe struggle a bit, to assimilate as quickly in the NFL, and particularly with the Ravens. And I get it. We got to be respectful of it's Jesse Minter. It's a new coaching staff, and maybe he just has a secret sauce that he can get it out of him more quickly. But are you asking too much? Like Trey Hendrickson is, we think, a sure thing as long as he's healthy. But do you need too much from Zion Young, a second-round pick, as sort of being, maybe you have confidence in Mike Green, and so you can let Zion Young come, but those two guys, are you asking too much of them right now?
Well, Mike Green needs to have that quote-unquote second-year next step, period, in the discussion. Tavius Robinson, excuse me.
That's a good point.
He's there. He's the guy that I think Zion's going to be kind of looking at and saying, all right, cool. And then, Zion is going to be drinking out of the fire hose, and so be it. But then you got Trey Hendrickson, who, as long as you don't run at him, from what everybody's saying, you should be fine. So, ultimately, give me one or two more big boys up front, and I'll be pleased.
DJ Reader, I'm assuming, that's sort of like your way of saying go sign him right now. Tell John Harbaugh to kick rocks. He's coming to Baltimore.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Him or Calais Campbell. Like, hey, come on now. Y'all don't need to do much. Just need to be effective for a couple of plays a game.
No, I'd take it. I'd take it right now. I'm with you on that. Anything else that happened this weekend, like, whether it's like the Steelers and going the Drew Aller route, anything else that was particularly interesting to you coming out of the draft, Qadry?
I think overall the Steelers still suck. And I just appreciated the theater in which Mark Ingram was able to.
Yeah, nailed it. Nailed it.
Oh my God.
Nailed it, man.
And of course, the internet is undefeated with the way in which they showed Haloti up in Detroit. Ultimately, here's the thing. Ultimately, when you look at this draft, I don't know what it is, but I have, after I guess seeing the draft through the lens of my son and him going through his undrafted rookie free agent journey and all that, I have a better respect for, what it takes to make it in the league. And again, I say it with all due respect. I appreciate that, guys got drafted. That's all well and good. But it means absolutely nothing until literally the first week of that first Wednesday practice And when you're playing in the game, that first game, and then your contract is guaranteed, and it's like, yo, for that calendar year, this is official. I earned the right to be on the team and on the 53-man roster and on the active roster. So, yeah, I think technically, I guess there's only really one guy, Adam Randall, who is like, yeah, I'm on the roster, period. Why? Because not only am I talented, but the owner of the team picked me.
That's a great point, right? Like, that's his guy. That's a great point. All right, I'm going to give you this hypothetical, Qadry, all right? Because I know you, in your blood, the Steelers suck. And, you're the guy who said boo the hell out of Ben Roethlisberger, even if it is his last trip to Baltimore. I know Qadry right now is in Chicago. Let's just say, hypothetically, a year from now, he's contributing to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Would you put on your son's Pittsburgh Steelers jersey and go to a game?
1,000%. I will definitely be putting my son's jersey on, no matter what the team, and I would be waving whatever towel.
God.
I will not say said towel because he is not on that team, but hypothetically he would be having my full, undivided attention and support.
I was hoping it could be like, I love my son, but I hate the team type of bit somehow. I don't know how we make that work. I don't know if that would be the case, but I appreciate that.
No. See, I would literally go to the game and be busting out my 87 Ismail jersey.
Okay.
Don't get it twisted.
Okay.
Now, I'm cheering. I'm cheering hard for whatever jersey number he's wearing. And I'm like, yo, let's go. Come on now.
I respect
get all the
that.
catches you can get all the touchdowns you can get. And at the end of the day, hopefully he'll have such a great game. But that his team, when they go up against the Ravens, they lose by 1.
Yeah, right. 44-43 sounds like a good way to lose that game with a massive game.
Yeah.
A performance much like Qadry Ismail once upon a time had in Pittsburgh himself. Remind everybody about missile training, my friends.
Yeah, man. Missile training is fun. It is about movement. It is about performance. It is about improving your movement and improving your performance. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete. Doesn't matter if you're a weekend warrior or you're a gen pop and you're trying to, take it to the next level and feel good about moving and living. And that being said, you can go to missiletraining.com. That's where you can find me.
Qadry Ismail, love you, brother. Appreciate you. Let's talk soon as we get closer to training camp, all right?
Always. Let's do it.
Thank you, buddy. Qadry Ismail with us here on GCR. John and Little Rock, I really like both the size on both wide receivers they drafted. They both look like they will be solid, productive players. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me that they took two bigger guys that, and I didn't do quite as much. Like, I don't think everybody's as down on Surratt in terms of separation as they are on Lane, but Lane yet was one of the top contested catch receivers in all of college football. To Qadry's point, like, does that get better in the NFL? Probably not, because the corners are better. So you're probably not getting more separation. And those contested catches perhaps are more difficult because these guys are more skilled. So, like, if there's a pick that I'm, I know that, like, Louis Riddick was very high on Jacoby Lane, and I'm not telling you I'm down on, but there's maybe a bit of a head-scratcher to me. Like, okay, all right, is this a complete receiver? Is this just your – because maybe it's okay if it's just your red zone guy, and you're saying, but we feel really good about him being a strong red zone target and drive extender in tough contested catches. He's not going to be a home run hitter. He's not going to open up the field, but we need him in those spots, and we feel good that we can use a third-round pick on that player. And again, maybe he proves to be more than that, but Qadry's argument is it's really tough to get more separation as you adjust to the NFL. It's an interesting pick. I'm not down on it. It was a little bit of a head-scratcher for me there. Like, there, it's like, huh. And I think there were a couple of guys that were still available at that point, receiver-wise, that I thought were a bit more complete. But that doesn't mean that Jacoby Lane won't be that guy. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the things the Ravens did during the by the way, your brother wants to know if the Suns are getting swept. Yes. Yes. They might lose by 40.
Oh, so you're saying lay it?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Gutless. Yeah, I mean, part of that is like they're playing the Thunder. I mean,
Thunder aren't that good, are they?
yeah, they're not that good. I know the Spurs had a lot of luck with the Thunder in the regular season. I am still struggling to see. Like, I know they had to go 7 games to win the finals and needed Halliburton to get hurt. I don't know if they needed Halliburton to get hurt, but they also had Halliburton get hurt last year. I don't know that I see a team that can take them 7. Part of it is
The Lakers with the resurgent
I know.
LeBron.
LeBron,
I know. Well, he just needed last night off.
LeBron looks like he's 30 now all of a sudden because he had a big game the other night. I mean, it definitely helps LeBron to have a quick first round. Like, LeBron's got to avoid long series playing a boatload of games. So that does help, but I don't see it, man. The Thunder just look like they're on a different level than everybody else. So yeah, go ahead. I put your American dollar. I'm not gonna put up my American dollars on your bet, but I would tell you put your American dollars on it.
On the Thunder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know what the number is, but whatever.
10.5.
Yep. Yep. I don't even know what the number would have to be. It might have to be 20 for me to feel bad. Or be at least confused. All right, we'll continue to talk about what the Ravens did in the draft. Former NFL scout Daniel Kelly, a first-round mock, is going to join us. Later on today, Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson, they'll be talking baseball with you coming up at 4 o'clock, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's show is brought to you by the Costas Inn with 2 great locations in Dundalk and Timonium, as well as Warnken Law. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
This is Stan the Fan. You know we talk all the time about our O's stepping up in the big moments, delivering when it matters most. If you've been injured in a car accident anywhere around Baltimore, that's your big moment, and you need someone who delivers. That's why I'm here to tell you about Warnken Injury Lawyers. They fight for Baltimore families every single day. Insurance companies play games. Warnken plays to win. So call 443-RESULTS. That's 443-RESULTS, or go to warnkenlaw.com. When you need results, it's right there in the number, 443-RESULTS.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs in the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, CostasInn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bill Ordine dives in on how different Preakness will be temporarily at Laurel Park and then long-term once it returns to Pimlico. Also inside, Luke Jackson learns more about what Trey Hendrickson will bring to the Ravens. And Karuga Koinange looks at how Samuel Basayo is influencing the Orioles' international signing efforts. Press Box is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Back in here on GCR to continue along. On the Monday after the NFL draft, we caught up with our next guest a few times in the build-up to the draft, and I know he never had anything but good things to say about Venga Ioane, so I'm going to guess he's going to have nothing but good things to say about Venga Ioane today. He is a former NFL scout. Now you know him from First Round Mock. He is Mr. Daniel Kelly, and he's with us here on GCR. Daniel, it's Glenn. I actually almost kind of got bored of talking to you about Venga Ioane and was trying to force other storylines to make the draft seem more interesting, but ultimately this was always the overwhelmingly most likely thing that the Ravens were going to do. And we'll talk about it, but everything you've ever told me about Venga Ioane, I'm assuming you weren't surprised and you are totally good with that being the way the Ravens went at 14.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be back on the show. It was, it just made the most sense. I mean, that's the pick. I mean, Ione is the prototypical, just a prototype offensive lineman the Ravens would want. And he made a lot of sense there at 14. I was happy to see the pick, especially for the Ravens. I think it's a really, really good pick for them.
Let me ask, because when you wrote about Venga Ioane, you kind of, I guess, emphasized his strengths as a run blocker and getting downfield and being a mauler. You pointed out that he did have a couple of areas that maybe were a little bit more of weaknesses, but even some of those he got better at this season as you were watching the film. Is there anything about Ioane's game as a pass blocker at all, just as a player, that really does concern you about making this transition to the NFL?
Well, the biggest thing, I mean, when I watched him on his 2024 film, I put a second-round grade on him. He had a few areas that needed some work. I felt like he needed to improve a little bit on his footwork and pass pro. He needed to be more consistent against stunts and blitzes and pass rush moves. He needed to do a better job of not releasing blocks sometimes too soon. And just he needed to show a little bit better overall football playing speed, I felt. There was a lot I liked about Ione. I don't put second round grades on guys unless I really, really like them. And I said, okay, let's just kind of, after my, 2024 film study, I said, let's just put this one aside, come back to it down the road, and let's revisit this. So when I turned on the 2025 tape, I really liked everything just about him, except for those things. And then he started showing a lot of improvements, Glenn, in those areas. And that's what really kind of turned the corner for me as an evaluator, as a grader, as someone who projects talent from the college level to the NFL. I thought, okay, this guy is, he's showing, improvements in all these different areas. And, it's not just me seeing this either, because I try to use like analytics and numbers and stuff whenever I can to kind of like confirm the film, just to kind of see. And I mean, PFF was, right lockstep with me as far as seeing the improvements on film. In 2024, PFF had a pass pro grade on Ione of 74.9, a run block grade of 73.0. In 2025, that improved in pass pro to 87.0, and then the run blocking improved to 78.6. So I wasn't the only person on some other planet or something saying that, yeah, he's gotten a lot better. PFF, Pro Football Focus, confirmed that. The only thing that really still concerns me going into this process, and believe me, I like the fact, I always love it when I see players trending kind of an upward curve towards the draft. And so he improved from 2024 to 2025. In the last few games of the season, he put on a teaching tape in run blocking. It was like a clinic as a run blocker the last few games for Ione at Penn State. But the one thing that I'm still, I'm going to watch, a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being, let's get him out of here. His game film at Penn State was about an 8. Is where I would put him. And the one concern is that he does understand the art of leverage very well as a blocker, but because he's got this big, sturdy, 6'4", 330-pound frame, long arms, great natural strength, sometimes on the film, he tended to still kind of like throw the technique out the window and try to rely too much on the natural strength. And what ended up happening in those situations, as we say in scouting, he got turned, he lost his leverage, he got turned to the side, he started to lose leverage, he opened the gate, is a term I use for it in scouting. He opened the gate and started to give up some leverage and some pressure into the pocket. Now, to his credit and to his defense, he's very competitive, so he's still stuck with the blocks and he still won those reps. But I would like to see him use that technique all the time and not default to the natural strength some of the time, because in the NFL, the stunts, the games, the pass rush moves are going to be far more intense than anything he faced probably at Penn State.
Let me follow up on that. Daniel Kelly with us from First Round Mock, because one of the questions that we've been asking after the whole of the Ravens draft, we thought the Ravens needed to address center, and they needed to find a starting center at some point in the next few rounds. They didn't. And so their group right now at center is, Danny Pinter, who started 3 career games at center, Corey Bullock, who's never played. I mean, they have a really uninspiring center group, and maybe that changes. Maybe there's a trade. Maybe there's someone who's cut. I know that can change. But is Ioane so good that he can help make up for if they have to commit to an inexperienced center who's got to learn a little bit on the job? Or would that concern you with him making the jump to the NFL if he's also got next to him as he goes up against now like Dexter Lawrence and Derek Harmon in the division, if he's got someone who hasn't really done a whole lot in the NFL next to him as a center?
That's a great question, Glenn. I mean, I evaluated Tyler Linderbaum coming out of Iowa. I gave him a first-round grade. I was really high on him, and of course, I'm super high, as you mentioned, on Ioane. I mean, I think that he makes up for the departure of Linderbaum because he does a lot of good things at that guard position. Is it a concern? Rationally, it probably is, but I have a lot of confidence in Eric DaCosta in that scouting department. I feel like if they didn't address it, they either have a plan to address it, as you alluded to, or they have confidence in who they're bringing up, in the ranks, so that they can fill that spot. The one thing I really liked when I started looking at, to your point about, how's he going to work with an inexperienced center, is one of the best attributes about Ioane is how well he worked in concert with other offensive linemen on the tape. This is not a guy that's just off in his own thing and staying in his own lane. This is a guy that worked very well in combo blocks and double teams. He also showed the propensity to want to try to help out, quote unquote, when there was a need to help. He didn't just stay there and be like, okay, guys, my job is done on film. No, he actually would go and chip and help out one of his teammates and stuff. So I think that spot, I think he's going to provide just enough. If they just stay pat and they just go with what they have, I feel confident that he's going to make up the difference and make up the margins. And I would feel that if the Ravens don't address this as a front office, I feel like, they would agree with that statement, that they feel like, Ioane is that good that he's going to make up that kind of a difference in the interior of the Ravens offensive line.
I know you are more of a top of the draft. You're not, the guy that's grinding on the seventh. You're probably not going to be able to break down new Ravens punter Ryan Eckley for us. I can understand that, Daniel.
Right, there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, I understand wholeheartedly. I do know that you spent a lot of time on quarterbacks specifically, and I want to bring up 2 names. One, just because he's a hot-button guy. All the Ravens are doing with Diego Pavia is bringing him in for a mini camp invite. It's nothing. I mean, it is the bare minimum. They're bringing in the quarterback from UConn that no one's ever heard of for a mini camp invite. You have to have quarterbacks there for mini camp, so you're bringing guys in. But Diego Pavia, of course, is different because he is someone that was a really productive player, turned a Vanderbilt program around, and is a lightning rod based on his personality. So he gets a ton more attention because of it. Is there any world? I'm not suggesting the Ravens are going to have Diego Pavia on their roster this season, but is there any world where there's something there more than just any other guy that's getting a minicamp invite, where maybe it is more worth it for the Ravens, not thinking about, that one day he's going to replace Lamar Jackson, but just to have him there because he shouldn't have been an undrafted free agent. He is someone that should be on a team.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, move by the Ravens. And one, of course, I default again going back to Eric DeCosta in that scouting department. For the Ravens, who have a cutting-edge personnel department, to bring in a Diego Pavia says a lot to me that they're actually bringing him into their camp, bringing him into the fold. There's some talk and issues about his personality. Is he too brash? Is he too cocky? Is he too confident? Is he too this, too that? One thing that this process might do is it might work some of that out of him, because now it's a big piece of humble pie, and all of a sudden Pavia is faced with the reality of how the rest of the league is looking at him, and this is his big chance. So Pavia's, as smart as he might be, this would be a great opportunity for him to really bring it down a couple notches and really just absorb and do everything they ask him to do. Because at the end of the day, that's what every NFL team's coaching staff is looking for. They're looking for players that can fulfill their role, whatever that role may be, and can do what they're asked to do. And as long as he does that to the best of his ability, he comes in there with the right mindset. He's the first in the building, the last one to leave. The Ravens don't have a lot of, depth at the quarterback position going into this. They got Lamar, of course, and then Tyler Huntley.
Yep.
So, will they carry three quarterbacks into the season? Doubtful. But could there be a world where, he really has a nice mini camp? He shows enough to get invited back to summer camp. He plays well in some, third, fourth quarter scenarios. They put him in a game in a preseason or something. Could he find himself, if he plays his cards right, on the Ravens practice squad? Yes, I believe he could.
That's an interesting look. Everybody knocks his height. He's the same size as Drew Brees. I'm not trying to suggest he's Drew Brees. I want to make that abundantly clear. I'm not saying that. He's taller than Russell Wilson. There have been short quarterbacks, obviously, that have succeeded before. And one of the other quarterbacks I wanted to bring up, because the Pittsburgh situation is so insane to me, Daniel. I still have to believe that they are confident that Aaron Rodgers is going to be their quarterback again, although I have no idea why they're capitulating this much to someone who appears to be this limited at this point in his career. But Drew Aller is interesting, right? There was a lot of talk after 2024 that if Drew Aller had come out, maybe he's a first, second round type of guy. Is there something more there with Drew Aller? I watched a good bit of him in film and talked to some other friends of mine in personnel who said that the arm is strong as hell, but what you get in between that, you just have no idea what to expect. Is there something there that maybe the Steelers found a quarterback of the future in taking Drew Aller?
I believe they have. I had I've evaluated every snap Aller's played in for the last 3 seasons. And, I go back to the 2023 film. I put a 5th round value on him. I thought he had really spotty accuracy. Then I upped it. Of course, he played with Ione, right? In that kind of cutting edge Andy Kalanicky offensive, scheme that they ran. It's a lot of different things, a lot of moving parts and everything. Aller showed just like Ione, showed a real high football IQ, acclimating to all the different things that they did in that offensive system. So from the neck up, as we say in scouting, it's all there for sure with Aller. And then I moved him up to that first round grade on his 2024 film. Well, in 2025, the wheels kind of fell off the whole thing at Penn State. The coach got fired. He got injured, broke his ankle. All these things happened. They didn't have any receivers really, that were really that good on the outside for him to throw to. He was missing Tyler Warren big time, I feel, in that offensive system. So 2025 to me is almost just like a mulligan, like a do-over or something. It was just it wasn't that great of a scenario to put him into. So I go back to his 2024 film. That's what I'd really default to when I did his evaluation. Now I landed. He was my QB2 in this process heading into the 2026 NFL draft. I had a 2nd round grade on him because I wanted to see how that ankle was going to respond, and it responded very well at the combine. I liked how he was throwing the ball. He's got the big arm. CBS Sports last August 30th in a game comped him to, Big Ben Roethlisberger. They said, well, he really reminds me of, Big Ben. And, I listened for that stuff. And he's got that, the big frame. He's got the big arm. He's smart. He's intelligent. Was there some inconsistencies? Was there some signs this last year in film he wasn't trusting his receivers? Was there some all that stuff going on? Sure there was. Could he get the ball of his hand a little faster? Sure he could. But I do believe that they feel, and Pittsburgh's another one of these, historical scouting organizations that, decade after decade, they do very well with this stuff, mostly with the exception of like a Kenny Pickett or something. But they do pretty well in the process. And so for them to bring him in and put him in a position where he very well could see, he very well could be their starter. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And even if Rodgers comes back, there's no guarantee he stays healthy.
Sure.
Aaron Rodgers has been doing this every year for the last 3, 4, 5 years, where he makes, like this off season, almost like a reality show or something. But Aller, I think, is in a good spot. He's got good personnel. And that's the thing. Talent is half the battle here, and the team and the team's belief in the system and the level of opportunity these quarterbacks get has a lot to do with their success. And this could be a perfect storm for Drew Aller, a perfect situation, a perfect recipe for him to step into and take over with the Pittsburgh Steelers and do very well, too, for that team and be the answer for them going forward.
Boy, we were really hoping that you were going to say he stinks. Boy, we were really hoping that's what you were going to say there, Daniel.
I know. I know my audience. I know.
Hate that. Let me wrap with this, because it's the only thing. Because I look, there's nothing to not like about Wenger Ioane. The only question that I ultimately had was, but I didn't think Ruben Bain was going to be sitting on the board at 14, and yet there he was. Is there any chance that even if Wenger Ioane is a really good player, right? Like is a solid high level guard for the next few years, that we get 5-10 years down the road and we say, oh, but damn, they had a chance to have Ruben Bain, right? Like, is there any chance that we're thinking about that in the future?
Sure there is. Yeah, there's definitely a chance. I was a big Ruben Bain fan, with him coming out of Miami. He was my edge two in the process next to David Bailey. And Bain's an interesting guy because he's got two different modes he plays in. There's what I call Bain time, where it's about 60% of the snaps where he's unblockable, and then there's another 40% of the time where he just disappears on film like a magic act. But when he's on and he turns that switch on, look out. And this really comes down to, this is a league, Glenn, of course, our listeners, this is a league. It's about two things, right? It's about passing the ball and stopping the pass. And so there's there's that argument like you're discussing, like what's better? Is it better to have the offense or defense or guard or edge? It's the premium is on the edge rusher, because the edge rusher disrupts the quarterback and gets into the pocket and everything. But at the same time, I understand the philosophy of the potential all-pro guard as well, because especially with Lamar Jackson, that's the thing. You got to protect him. You got to have the right bodyguards in there. So for that being said, I understand the pick, but sure, down the road, like you said, there's always that chance, because Ruben Bain Jr. is a very good football player.
What would you have done if you were Eric DeCosta in that situation?
I would have taken the guard like he did.
Okay. All right. There you go. There it is. Daniel Kelly, are you already thinking about, I think I saw on social media, and will first round mock already be thinking about 2027?
Absolutely. I after the 2025 draft, I took one day off. After the 2026 draft, I took yesterday off. And today it all begins. I'm going to sit down later this afternoon and begin my Arch Manning evaluation of his full season 2025 game film. I reset the clock on my website. It's 11 months and 25 days and some change until the NFL draft in 2027 in Washington, D.C. So yeah, full steam ahead, and the process never stops. There's so many players to look at that literally literally, I mean, I do this 17 to 20 hours a day. I petitioned for more, but I haven't gotten the acceptance yet, for more than 24 hours a day. But I mean, the process starts now. I mean, I read something kind of interesting. The Chicago Bears, one of their former scouting directors, said that the teams that tend to do the best in the draft are the ones who take summer scouting the most seriously. So I'm on board with that.
I like that. First Round Mock. That's where you find him on social media. And, of course, firstroundmock.com. Daniel Kelly, I've really appreciated all the insights that you've given us, both on this show and just me checking out your resources. Look forward to doing this again as we move towards 2027. Thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you, Glenn, and thank you to everybody listening. And absolutely, the 2027 NFL Draft will be here before we know it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you.
Daniel Kelly, former NFL scout, now firstroundmock.com, has been a great resource for us during the course of the last couple of months. And, like everybody else, it is so difficult to be down on Venga Ioane. And there are, sure, other questions. The Ruben Dane question is one that I brought up, and we can talk about the fact that they didn't get a center, and we can talk those are things that now the Ravens will deal with. But boy, is it hard to be down on Venga Ioane. I saw that. Remember the name of the player John brought up, that the Eagles drafted someone from the international pipeline who had never played football.
It was an edge rusher, right?
Yep, and I can't even remember what his name is, but I did see that over the weekend, and you're like, geez, that is crazy. I did not spend any time talking about Diego Pavia because at the moment there's nothing warranted for it. We're interested in Diego Pavia because he's a lightning rod based on his personality, based on, some of his behavior. But there are thousands of players that have been invited to a Ravens mini camp over the years that you've never heard of. It doesn't really mean anything. Now, it doesn't mean that sometimes it doesn't mean something. I think Michael Pierce, in fact, reminded me that he started with just a mini camp invite. Like, he wasn't even a priority signing. He was just a mini camp invite, and look at where it went from there. Is there some world where Diego Pavia is just, hey, I'm humbled by this, and I'm going to sort of change my attitude a little bit, and maybe he is this team's third quarterback? I don't know. Maybe. I don't even know the name of the guy out of UConn.
Fayano, right? Is that it?
Is that it?
That's it. I think. Yeah.
You don't say that with any amount of confidence.
Well, I mean, that's the name of that was. I just don't know the way to.
You don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're saying Fagnano.
Yeah.
Or it could be that the G is silent, as you're suggesting.
Yeah.
Fagnano or something like that.
I
I don't know why it's more likely that it's Diego Pavia than the UConn quarterback, but I mean, I get it. He was certainly a better college quarterback than that guy was. So if you want to give him a leg up because of that, it's Fagnano. Fagnano, apparently, is how they pronounce it. But yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it because there's nothing to be said. It's like the people that wanted the Ravens. You know, the Ravens need to think about whether or not maybe Lamar Jackson, they can't get him signed and they might have to move on from him, so they should draft Taylon Green. Like, what do those two things have to do with each other? What is the connection? If they wanted to draft Taylon Green, who did? Somebody. He went actually earlier than I expected him to go.
Yeah, the Browns took him, I think.
I think that's right, yes.
Yeah, I wanted him, yeah. Not to replace Lamar, but
because the point is, like, if you want to draft him for those, by all means draft him. But if the Ravens at some point need to find a successor to Lamar Jackson, they need to actually find that guy. Like this, I don't know. There was a time maybe in like the 90s where, I don't know, you take this guy in the 6th round, maybe he's your quarterback at some point.
That's what the Steelers were thinking with Will Howard last year.
Right.
And I guess they're thinking with Drew Aller now.
I also don't know. Like, me personally, and watching both of them, I don't.
If I were them, I'd just play Eli Heidenreich probably.
It's a great point, right? Like, I'll get to that in a second.
Sucks.
It does. It really does. It sucks that both of them went in the division.
I know.
Because Landon Robinson, too. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is you don't find your quarterback that route. Like, I know Tyrod Taylor has had some stints as a kind of a mid-level starting quarterback after being a lower-round draft pick. But there's a reason why we all talk about the fact that Tom Brady did it, is because it's absolutely effing stunning that a quarterback drafted that low ended up becoming even a starting quarterback. I get it, Jimmy Garoppolo. No, not Jimmy. Sorry,
Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Jeez, wrong 49ers quarterback. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. It's not like it never happens. It's not impossible. But it's so rare that we remember all of them.
Gardner Minshew, yeah.
Gardner Minshew was
He was
fifth.
seventh.
Was he seventh? I thought
maybe
he was fifth
sixth.
for
Maybe
some
he was
round.
sixth.
I thought he was.
He was at least sixth, I think, because he started against the Ravens. I think that
That
year.
sounds right. He was
sixth round, 178.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought he was fifth.
Yeah, I mean,
But
you were way off.
But yes, Gardner Minshew is the perfect example of this, and wasn't really an NFL quarterback. Like, was just a guy that there's any litany of guys that was forced to play for a little bit because things went seriously wrong, but very few of them have actually proven to be NFL quarterbacks. It doesn't take anything away. It has happened. Brock Purdy is an NFL quarterback. It's not impossible. It's just so wildly unlikely that it is not at all part of your plans. If Diego Pavia makes the Ravens roster, which I think is a one in a – I mean, I don't even know that he's going to be here past minicamp. I don't even know that he'll be here for training camp. I don't know what the odds would be to me of Diego Pavia making the Ravens roster. 500 to 1? Something like that, just to make the roster.
I'll take those odds.
Would you?
Dude, he's always been an underdog.
Great.
Just tell him he's playing Alabama this week, and then
To make the roster, for them to, because if they lose,
they don't have a
one,
fullback,
if
right?
one of their quarterbacks gets hurt, they're going to go get a quarterback.
How does the quarterback 3 thing work? You do, like when you have 3
Yeah,
quarterbacks
you still have the
active,
option that
or one of them is inactive.
they can be inactive, but also could be like
they
to
have
say
to be on the 53-man for that, right?
they do have to be on the 53-man for that. Can they be a practice squad call-up?
I mean, I
for
guess
that?
I guess you could for
I
3
actually
weeks,
don't-
right? Until you
Yeah, I don't know what the rule is for that specific. But then would you want to waste someone's practice squad call-up on being the emergency third quarterback?
probably not.
The Ravens have not necessarily prioritized this, but again, I don't know what the new Ravens. I don't know what the priority will be for Declan Doyle and Jesse Minter. Maybe they do prioritize having a third quarterback on the roster. We will find out. So maybe just that alone.
I mean, they had
makes
guess,
it more like 200 to 1, not maybe 500 to 1 was out.
I mean, I was gonna say they did it last year, but I guess they were paying Cooper Rush.
Correct.
To, I mean,
They didn't want to
had
do it last year. They only had to do it because Cooper Rush failed. They had no interest in having a third quarterback. They just were left with kind of no choice. And also Tyler Huntley kind of became available, kind of fell back into their laps. I would still say if they're prioritizing having a third quarterback, I would feel like they'd want to find someone that Declan Doyle has been around in the past to be their third quarterback. But is it impossible? It's not impossible. But even in this long shot scenario in which Diego Pavia stays with the Ravens through training camp, is put on the roster, it's not because Diego Pavia is thought of as someone who could be a successor to Lamar Jackson if Lamar Jackson leaves. If they were to get to that point, they would go find that guy. Whether that's signing a quarterback or, again, going early in the draft to look for that guy. I am not enamored with Drew Aller at all. I've watched a lot of film. I don't know why I did.
Well, he was in the playoff for a little.
I have a few friends in my life that are also Penn State and Steelers people, randomly.
I mean, he looked much better. He definitely looked a lot better when he had Tyler Warren to throw to.
Yeah, he did. And look, he's got a cannon of an arm. That part, there's no doubt about. If all you had to do is just stand back there and throw the ball 50 yards downfield, like, I'd love Drew Aller. But actually watching Drew Aller make throws, and that's the craziest part. It's not even like he has a real issue working through his progressions. Like, he works through his progressions. It's that then when he gets to the right one, you don't know where the ball is going. It's bizarre. So, like, to me, I think that's nuts. If you don't know that you have Aaron Rodgers this year, I guess in a scenario like what's your best chance of being 9-8? I think you got a better shot with Mason Rudolph, but I mean, he definitely has a cannon of an arm. If you have what I was told by someone in personnel is if you have an outrageous amount of faith in your offensive coaches, then you would hope they can kind of revamp, like start with the strong arm and go from there. Someone in personnel made the comparison to me to Mike Glennon, where you're like, I like Mike Glennon more at this point than I like Drew Aller, because Mike Glennon had the size and the big arm, but he could also make more of the throws. Drew Aller, it's a weird bit. I don't think that they really believe that he's like their quarterback long term, as much as it's I don't know. I mean, we got nothing else to do. I guess let's bring this guy in here and see. But, I mean, this is the same team that took Kenny Pickett in the first round, so I don't know. He's a completely different quarterback than Kenny Pickett, at least size-wise, for what it's worth. Yeah, you mentioned Eli Heidenreich. That sucks, man. That sucks. Eli Heidenreich. Now, look, Brian Powell was like, even your cold heart had to think that was an amazing moment. Yes, it was really good TV for whoever was left watching the draft in the 7th round. If you happen to be watching the draft,
7 o'clock on Saturday night, yeah.
You know, or if you just saw it on social media, the imagery was incredible. It was incredible imagery of Eli Heidenreich in his hometown, being drafted in full dress by the team that he rooted for growing up. I can't lie about that. It was really incredible imagery, man. I hate it because there's no one I want to root for more than Eli Heidenreich, but his location makes it very difficult for me to root for him. Awesome for him, though. Awesome for him, as he was drafted by the Steelers in the 7th round of the draft this weekend, and also Landon Robinson, also selected in the 7th round, but by the Cincinnati Bengals. So, son of a bitch. What the hell is wrong with all of you? Former Terp Octavian Smith, not drafted but did sign with the Ravens, so they got that going for him, which is nice. Jalen Husky went to the Jaguars, correct? And he was the only Maryland player drafted.
Yeah.
I know.
Last pick Friday night.
A lot of people thought Alan Herron was going to be drafted, but he was not. I think he signed with the Saints, if I remember correctly. Baltimore native Derek Moore goes to the Lions, so he stays in Michigan after playing his collegiate career there. And we didn't spend much time talking about it, but I don't also know how Mansour Delane isn't really local as much as he just played at a local high school. He's far more of a D.C. guy, I think Silver Spring. But he became the first ever player to be drafted out of Archbishop Spalding. Congratulations. And awfully high in the draft, too, right? As he went 6th overall to the Chiefs.
He fell to 6, yeah.
Right? And then where did Zakee Wheatley end up going?
I remember seeing his name get called. I forget where he went, though. I think the
Panthers.
There you go.
The Panthers. He went to the Panthers in the 5th round. So, Severn native got his name called. And then, Danny Sutton. Oh, man. It's hard for me to remember.
4th round Green Bay.
Thank you. Glad you filed some of these away because I did not file all of them away. And we'll try to reach out to some of these guys now that they're settled in the coming weeks and months. Surratt obviously went to the Ravens. Where did Jay Sean Barnum end up?
Did he go in Division 2?
What do you mean?
Did he go in Division as well? I thought.
Did he?
I can't. Why can't I remember?
Son of a
Dallas.
Cowboys.
Okay.
Cowboys in the third round. Yeah, he went a little bit higher.
Third round, yeah.
St. Francis then actually started his college career at Maryland. Unfortunately, Roman Hemby did not get drafted.
That was...
He signed after the draft with the Raiders, and then it was the last one that I had on the
they're
list.
just trying to build the Indiana offense down there.
All right, because they have Mendoza. They didn't get Surratt, though.
No, they didn't.
And they didn't get Omar Cooper.
No.
He went to the Jets. And Jude Bowery went to the Bills, another former St. Francis, although not a Baltimore native. He went to the Bills in the 4th round. So there's kind of a rundown of all the local storylines in the draft. And I'll probably do a little bit more. We're going to start reaching out to folks and probably do a little bit more draft content in the next couple of days, but we'll kind of shift focus back to baseball for the most part. Not that I want to, because it wasn't pleasant. Speaking of which, we'll deal with that next. Only one guy to put on the board, and we need to go 3 up and 3 down for a really disappointing weekend of Orioles baseball. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website CostasInn.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
This is Byron Warnken. If you've been injured in Maryland, you know you need a great lawyer. Look no further than us, Warnken LLC. You've seen my picture on billboards around town. You've seen me on TV. Now I'm lucky enough to get to be here with Stan. Please give us a call. 443-RESULTS. It is not just a phone number, it's a mission. 443-RESULTS. Or visit us online at warnkenlaw.com. That's WARNKENLAW.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, unfortunately, only one Oriole goes up on the board from the weekend. It's all going so well on Friday nights. Orioles hitting the home runs, run out of fireworks. Adley Rutschman had a pair of them, so there he is, his first man of the match of the season.
Thanks, Adley.
Appreciate that. But then, what the F? 17-1 on Saturday, 5-3 on Sunday.
Yeah, it was so bad the manager got. Oh wait, no, the Red Sox.
Yeah, the other one, right? The other one. I mean, that's awful, right? Like, to lose a home series to a bad team that seemingly is in turmoil, and particularly when you had your 2 top starting pitchers going for you. And
they have top starting pitchers.
Let's
Brandon Young pitched Friday night.
Right, thank you. Let's get into that right now, shall we?
3 Up.
And 3 Down.
3 Up and 3 Down is brought to you today by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website. Everything you need to know about high school sports as we start moving towards the postseason in the spring. Baseball, softball, golf, lacrosse, they've got you covered. Scores, schedules, everything you could possibly need to know. CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Let's start up this week. It was a 3-3 week, so it's not obvious. We'll start up just to get out of the way. My number 3 is Kobe Mayo. It was actually kind of easy for me. I went with all bats this week for 3 Up.
Sounds like we'll probably have the same list then.
3 guys that were hitting home runs and getting the job done. Kobe Mayo, just as we were starting to talk about whether or not, like, is it ever going to work with Kobe Mayo? He runs off 3 home runs in 3 days. That's a good thing. May there be a lot more. Kobe Mayo, number 3.
Yeah, he was my number 3 as well. I mean, yeah, that would definitely be a massive. It feels like, I mean, they got to start pitching a little bit better, but it feels like it would be a massive deal if he has figured it out. Just another feared power bat to throw into that lineup at a minimum. But yeah, number 3, Kobe Mayo.
Number 2 is Adley Rutschman. Went 7 for 17, 3 home runs, including that 2 run game on Friday. Shows that his start to the season wasn't a fluke. I think a lot of us are worried about that. Like, oh, great, he gets off to a hot start, then he gets hurt. There's no way that'll continue. Well, it continued. And so, one of the big questions we had coming into the year, what is Adley Rutschman? He's looking more like Adley Rutschman, which would be a very good thing. Adley Rutschman's my number 2.
Yeah, same. Drove in 8 runs this week, hit every day or hit every game he played in. So yeah, Adley number 2 feels good to have this version back of Adley.
And number 1 is the other catcher, Samuel Basayo, who OPS'd over 1,600 for the week. 9 for 16, a pair of home runs, and also 3 walks.
And the clutchest hit of the week, too.
Yeah, it's true. That's a great point, which is why he went on the board. It's hard to remember all of the things that occurred, but yes, on Monday night, he, of course, was the hero for the Orioles. So Samuel Basayo, number 1 for the week.
Yeah, same.
Thank you.
Same.
Don't call him the best color analyst in baseball for nothing.
Yeah, same.
Now to the other side of the equation. And only
have to?
Yeah, only 1 bat on my down list. That bat is my number 3. And boy, you really the timing on putting up the Tavares.
That's why I was like, well, so
yeah,
do you want my thought process?
It was not great.
So I cut these up, and then I was like, oh, it's NFL draft right now. I feel like everything's going to be saturated.
I understand.
With drafts, so let me just hold for a second.
Boy, it was not a good week for Jeremiah Jackson or Leody Tavares.
Let me put this.
But they avoid my wrath because my expectations are a little bit lower, and instead my number 3 is a guy that he hit 231, which frankly is better than he had been doing, and he hit a couple of home runs, but he also struck out 11 times.
Really? You put him on here?
Gunnar Henderson. What in the ever-loving F? 11 strikeouts this week. This is insanity. It really is looking like Gunnar Henderson has just decided to go all in on being a natural outcomes player, which is so bad for the Orioles. And maybe you'll get to the end of the year and he'll have hit 30-some home runs. I mean, I pray that this is at some point he just sort of wakes up and this is just a weird couple of weeks that we'll look back on. But 11 strikeouts this week. The strikeouts are staggering. And I get it. We're in an era we're not supposed to care about that. We're only supposed to care about OPS and nothing else. But I always say strikeouts are still uniquely bad to me because nothing good can happen on a strikeout. I understand that the argument is, well, if you put a ball in play, sometimes you hit into a double play. Nothing good can come from a strikeout. You can't move a runner over. You can't bring someone home from third base. Spare me the we don't care about strikeouts anymore part of baseball.
Can't ground into a double play.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Dynamite. Spare me. This is disastrous. and 2 home runs does not save that for me. This is a mess. And the expectations are just so much higher than they are for the other guys that Gunnar Henderson's failures stand out so uniquely. Gunnar Henderson to me is number 3.
No, he's not on my list. I mean, he had 3 awful games. Obviously, Monday night was particularly horrendous with the base running errors as well.
Yeah,
but, I mean the home runs were.
I didn't even. By the way,
I
didn't even bring that up.
Yeah,
you're right.
Keegan Aiken's my number 3. I mean, he was dog shit. I mean, he was awful on Saturday.
First game back.
Exactly. Glad he's back.
Lord.
I mean, he was horrendous.
You're really comparing one appearance from Keegan Aiken in a game that was already lost.
Like he's supposed to be
a guy that struck out 11 times and got picked off twice.
And then I had another bat. I had a different bat as my number 2 because he went 0 for 12 or he went 0 for 11. Blaze Alexander. I mean, like
this is really you.
At least he can play.
You want guys to be the best versions of themselves, and so you don't want to be critical of them when they're not. Like. Those are guys that are so low.
I know, but
on
Gunnar still had. He had a good game Friday and
for
a good
the
game
Orioles
yesterday.
to work. Gunnar Henderson has to be an MVP caliber baseball player.
Pete Alonso should be our number 1 every single week, right? Like
the weeks where he should be, he should be. He didn't strike out 11 times this week and get picked off twice.
Alonso has been hurting the Orioles all year.
To an extent, that's true. I mean, he actually picked up a little bit, but to an extent, I don't know why you're defending Gunnar Henderson. This is a weird bit. He's stunk.
Because I mean, I think
he's
they're a far without him. They're far worse than they are. Right
How?
Now. Like,
what's the compare? What is that?
Because
what are you basing that off of?
Because he's just a presence that other teams are that they have to.
What you're saying is that if Gunnar Henderson's better, then the Orioles will be fixed. This version of Gunnar Henderson is no good. This version of Gunnar Henderson, I'm not saying option him. It's a different conversation. It's reacting to what happened. What happened was Gunnar Henderson stunk, period. And Gunnar Henderson can't stink. He can't stink.
It's the culmination of the entire week.
I understand
Blaze
where
was
he's
awful all week. Keegan
Blaze Alexander is barely a baseball
the worst
player.
Pitcher that they threw out.
Blaze Alexander has nothing to do with whether or not the Orioles are going to be good this year.
Keegan Aiken was worse than Weston Wilson. Like
Keegan Aiken made 1 appearance in 1 game. Comparing Keegan Aiken to Gunnar Henderson is insanity.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yes.
That's what we do every week.
I know.
That's
and
the
one
of
of
task.
them was dramatically worse.
Yeah, Keegan Aiken gave up 6 runs without getting it out.
Game. My God, man. There is the theory here. It's always easier for you to pile on the guys that are kind of fringe Orioles. Like, it's always easier.
Tyler O'Neill did not make my down list because the janitor throw was pretty sick yesterday.
There was that.
So
Tyler O'Neill didn't have a good week, but there were the guys that are most important to the team failed this week. The failures are from the most important players. Other guys failed too that aren't as important.
The way, like, if this is the way you measure it, like I think Pete Alonso should be on your list every single week.
No, Pete Alonso hasn't had a good season. If you said right now, if we did a list of who are the biggest down Orioles for the season, Pete Alonso would absolutely be in that conversation. But in actually looking at what happened this week, they were let down badly by Gunnar Henderson.
I mean, you want to point to, I guess,
badly.
The defense yesterday where he bobbled, like he didn't get an error yesterday, right? But he like bobbled 2 balls or something, I think. And,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I can't remember if that came back to hurt him or not. But
I actually don't remember either if it came back to hurt them or not. This is a bizarre bit where you're just defensive of Gunnar Henderson for the sake of being defensive of Gunnar Henderson instead of just saying, yeah, he
sucked,
been
on my down
man.
list this week or this year. But like.
It's
I
been
mean,
really
he had 2
bad.
really good games on Friday and Sunday, and when you're looking at the week as a whole, I think.
Well, everybody had a good
Jackson,
game on Friday, unfortunately. Everybody on Friday had a really good game, so having a good game
more
on
of a
Friday
case to be
didn't
on the
help.
down list this week. Than
Again, if I expected if Jeremiah Jackson was going to be the story of the season, then that would be a different conversation. Gunnar Henderson has to work. Period. Gunnar Henderson you can't Jeremiah Jackson your way to competing in the AL East. It's not going to happen. You're not Leody Taveras your way. They're neat stories. I'm glad they got off the good starts, but they're not getting you to the AL East title. Gunnar Henderson has to be the guy.
Keegan Aiken can make damn sure that they're not going to win an AL East title as well.
Keegan Aiken is not going to – if that happens 2 more times, he's going to be gone. The comparison is that one of these guys is critical, and frankly, the other 2 guys are critical as well. They're critical to whether or not this team has a chance. And they're failing. And that doesn't mean that they'll fail next week. Gunnar Henderson might have a great week. He might stop becoming an all-natural outcomes guy. But boy, has this been really troubling. He's either hitting a home run or he's not helping the team. That's a problem.
3 hits Friday night.
And everybody had a good Friday night. Everyone did.
They're playing an MLB team, I think.
Technically. Team that they lost 2 games to. Number 2 is Kyle Bradish, who you can do everything in your power to try to, credit the fact that it could have been worse.
Could have.
You can do everything you can, say whatever you want about how much worse it could have been for Kyle Bradish. But that doesn't make anything that happened okay. Kyle Bradish, sure, only ultimately allowed 4 runs over the 10 and a third innings that he pitched. But that's a miracle for someone that allowed 21 base runners between 2 starts. That's the type of thing that you praise when you're talking about if Brandon Young does that, it's not good, but you say, hey, man, you got to give that guy some credit. That sometimes that's just pitching, right? That cannot be Kyle Bradish's story because they don't have it. They don't have the pitchers. They're not here. It had to be. And now we can talk about whose fault that is. We can have that conversation eternally. Why they're in the spot they're in. Why they're relying so heavily on this guy and the next guy that we'll get to. That's a different conversation. But that's their reality. Don't need to go get an ace. We've got an ace at home. The guy that had a 2+ whip this week. Kyle Bradish has to be better. We can have this conversation. Are the Orioles good? We can talk. The Orioles right now have a starting pitching problem again. It's a different problem because they're not guys that are just going and getting their brains beat in, although we'll talk about Trevor Rogers in a second. They're guys that are surviving, that don't look like they can't pitch, but they're not pitching well enough to give their team the opportunity to win games, to steal wins. Nobody's stealing wins except for the guy that's not on the Major League roster. He stole the win. It's unfathomable, the spot that they're in. You could say, hey, maybe they put too much faith in these 2 dudes at the top of the rotation, but to expect to be here right now is brutal. Kyle Bradish is number 2.
I mean, he only gave up 1 run Monday, and that kept them
it's a miracle.
in the game. They
it's
lose
a
Monday
miracle.
If he gives up 2 runs.
Yeah,
and
you're not getting credit for allowing.
Blaze is my number 2. That's
Blaze Alexander.
I mean, Bradish was not one of the 2 worst players.
Yeah, he was.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. He allowed 21 base runners over 10 innings.
It wasn't great.
It
wasn't
great.
It was really hard to watch, but he was not one of the worst players on the team this week.
Trevor Rogers obviously is number 1. And there is, of course, a Trevor Rogers problem, and that stinks. It's not a start or a week. We've got evidence, a sample size. That doesn't mean that this is baseball. Sometimes it changes in one start. But given the lack of track record that we have in Trevor Rogers, it is particularly concerning. There's the eternal question of, were you better off letting a guy get his brains beat in and giving you innings, or
yeah, I mean,
going and getting a guy
from pitching, probably, yeah.
They weren't winning that game. The game was over. I don't know. I don't have the answer to it. But it's untenable. There's no Kyle Bradish and Trevor Rogers cannot be this. The expectations are significantly higher for these guys. With respect to Blaze Alexander, he can be gone tomorrow and find another Blaze Alexander. And it's a bummer because you kind of like the way he plays and you want him to be good, but there is no expectation there. It is no skin off your ass if Blaze Alexander isn't an Oriole tomorrow.
Well, we might need him to be an Oriole with Jackson Holiday. Won't
I understand that's part of the problem. These three guys have to be better, or there is no path forward. Or we don't need to ask whether or not the Orioles are good. We'll know the answer. They can't overcome this. Trevor Rogers was an easy choice for number one.
I went with, the spineless commissioner he's got to step in at some point and say, you cannot move this game up.
And that's probably what it was. That's the problem.
You got to let it get rained out.
That's the problem, was the time of the game. That's the issue.
Trevor Rogers has a system. He has a schedule, and he wasn't ready to pitch it in. So that was,
Lord.
Not his fault.
Not good. Not good whatsoever. There you go. That's 3 up and 3 down, or sort of 3 up and 3 down.
Well, I mean, yeah, you didn't understand, I guess.
No, I do.
Yeah, you focus on April 20th through
April
26th.
Yes, and the guys that stink during that time period. The guys that
Keegan Aiken,
strike out,
Alexander.
Yeah, the guys that strike out 11 times and get picked off twice and are supposed to be MVP candidates. Yep, those are the guys. Those are the ones that you focus on.
Contributed a lot more
Get
than
it up at GlennClarkRadio.com. But if that's where we're at, is Gunnar Henderson more helpful than Blaze Alexander? We're effed.
Okay, I can agree with that, yeah.
The season's over. Period. If that's where you're at. We'll get it up at GlennClarkRadio.com. What happened this weekend? Anything that we needed to cover?
There was an NFL draft, I guess.
Yeah, that's what happened this weekend. Loyola Lacrosse got the 2 seed in the Patriot League after they beat Navy on Friday.
Congrats, Loyola.
So they don't have to play tomorrow. But Army still will be hosting the Patriot League tournament, so they'll go up there. Maryland did beat Rutgers, so they move on and probably if there was any doubt that they were in the NCAA tournament, that's probably enough that they're still in. And as we talked about with Patrick last week, there's definitely still a possibility they could end up being a top 8 seed. Yeah, I know the goofy name, the company that they hired to take away Alex Cora and staff. It's very, very uncomfortable. I probably wouldn't have been my choice. I don't know that anybody can actually see it from there, but it's Coaches for Hire, LLC. And there are some coaches for hire that were traversing in that vehicle. I mean, it's objectively funny. It's objectively funny.
I mean, could this? I don't know. I don't know. It was a shock, obviously. Like, is this the right thing to do?
I mean, like, the argument from somebody in Boston would be the team is so gutless. I mean, this is what I say a year ago. Like, whenever you fire your manager and think that suddenly the team is going to be dramatically better, normally the answer is it's just a lost season. Now, I don't think that the Red Sox front office had failed the way the Orioles front office had failed last year. I do think there is more there that perhaps someone could get something out of than the Orioles had. Like, to me, that last year was, you fire Brandon Hyde all you want, you can't change the fact that they don't have any pitching. There's no other manager that can come in here and make this pitching work. That's a failure. You can argue the Red Sox should have enough pitching that they shouldn't be this bad and that maybe another manager could get something out of it. But, yeah, it's the gutless way that they were losing. I mean, they were non-competitive. So I sort of get it. I don't know. My gut normally is that you're not dramatically turning things around with an interim manager, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Red Sox do have enough talent that, it might have worked itself out anyway with Alex Cora. I don't think the manager change would be what turns it around, but is it possible the team really wasn't as bad as the record indicated because they just had enough talent that they were going to get it fixed at some point? that's plausible for the Red Sox. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by, this one's brought to you by the print issue of Press Box, which is available for free at your Baltimore area, High's Dairy stores, everywhere you find Press Box throughout the region, and you can read it for free at PressBoxOnline.com with Bill Ordine's cover story about the future of the Preakness.
From Josh Dubois at the AP, Alex Cora, first manager to get fired after winning a game by 16 runs since... You don't remember?
No.
The New York Metropolitans fired Bob Ferguson following an 18-2 win over the Cleveland Spiders. And the second game of a doubleheader back on May 30th, 1887.
Can't believe I forgot about that one.
They fired Bob Ferguson. I guess from one battle after another, that Bob Ferguson.
Right, that Bob Ferguson.
Yeah, so just never that. I mean, I can't believe it happened once before. It's pretty shocking. There was a crazy.
If I had a nickel, I'd only have two nickels, but it's still a little surprising.
A tidbit. On Friday, someone did a home run parlay with the most random names.
I saw that, yeah.
Riley Green.
Right.
Kobe Mayo. Jesus,
which is weird because I thought Riley Green was out at Stagecoach this
that's
weekend.
True, yeah. Jesus Sanchez. Bryce Harper. That makes sense. Nick Kurtz, I guess, also makes sense. Jazz Chisholm. All to hit home runs. They did $30 to $1.8 million.
That is wild, Jack. Wild. It also makes you wonder how much that guy has lost betting home run parlays.
$30 parlays.
Yeah, right.
Has it taken? Well, hopefully, made it all back. I guess.
Right.
The AFC made 144 of the 257 picks in the NFL draft this year. 31 more than the NFC, which is the most in the 7-round format. So just kind of interesting. Does that mean the AFC is going to be way better than the NFC this year? I guess it has to.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Let's see. I got like a couple quick ones. I'm figuring out how many I want to use. All right, we'll do since we talked about him. Eli Heidenreich, John Todd from NFL Research pointed out that only 3 players in the last 70 years have had a 400-yard rushing season and 900-yard receiving. 900 yards receiving, 400 yards rushing. Eli Heidenreich is one of them. There are 2 others in a single college FBS season.
Reggie Bush.
No.
It was 400 yards
rushing
and 900 yards receiving. Yeah, that's the Lord. It's really you feel like it still has to be running backs. Like there's just no other scenario we could see a wide receiver come away with 400 yards. What? They're not running backs?
Yeah.
The hell wide receiver was running for 400 yards? That's an insane number.
2010 and 2012. I'll give you the years.
I don't know. A receiver that
2010, he was an SEC guy.
Percy Harvin?
No, not Percy Harvin. Did end up playing in the NFC North, though.
Did end up playing in the NFC North.
I feel like I could give you the college. You might not be able to.
Yeah, I mean, this is so specific.
Kentucky
play Cobb?
Yeah, Randall Cobb.
Why would Randall Cobb have been running the ball like that?
I don't know. Did they play him at quarterback for a little bit?
Did they?
Cobb played. He was quarterback, but that was his first year. This was what year? In 2010 is the year that he crossed all these. No, I don't think he was playing quarterback at all.
Yeah, I can't fathom why.
They were just like, get him the ball.
That is a lot of running the ball, man.
They're like, just get him the ball.
400 yards is
2012. This one will make more sense once you get it.
2012 will make more sense when I get it. Will make more sense. 2012. I have no earthly idea.
He was. I mean, I'll give it away. West Virginia.
Oh, that's not Slayton. That's Slayton?
No.
2012 was. I don't even remember who that was.
Baltimore native.
Oh, Tavon Austin, right?
Tavon
yeah.
Austin.
Why was I blanking?
Tavon
Jesus Christ.
Randall Cobb, Tavon Austin, Eli Heidenreich. There you go.
Yeah, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. That's still 400 yards is still staggering for any primary receiver. That's a staggering number.
This is the 5th time. Which one you can pick? It's the 4th time Ravens have ever drafted a punter. Who are the other 3?
They drafted Zastadil.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted Stout. They drafted Sam Cooke.
They did.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
What years do you want to show? Make a name of the
I
years.
don't remember the years. Cook was 06.
Yes, he was.
Stout was 2021.
No.
2022.
Yeah.
And Zastadil was
First punter drafted in
01.
franchise. No.
02.
There you go. Okay. There you go. Fifth time the Ravens have doubled up on tight ends in the NFL draft. The other
Andrews
8.
and Hurst.
Yeah, Andrews and Hurst.
Pittett and Dixon.
2010.
Oh God. Was there another the Max Williams year?
Yeah, there was.
I was about to say the F word. I mean, like I can't think of who that would have been.
It's a family program, I think. I don't know. Is it?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't have to be, but I still don't want to. Tell me something. I'm blanking.
Let's see. He spent more time here than Max Williams did. I mean.
Oh, Boyle, right? Yeah, of course.
Boyle.
Why did I struggle with that? And then the other one was it Likely and Kohler?
It was.
Yeah.
Yes, Likely and Kohler in 2022.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, then let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. No Orioles tonight. NBA playoffs, Pistons Magic Game 4 at 8. Timberwolves Nuggets Game 5 at 10:30. Both those games are NBC. Thunder Suns Game 4 at 9:30. So let me make sure. The Thunder can close out the night. The Timberwolves can close out the night. But the Pistons only have a 2-1 lead on the Magic, correct?
Yeah,
so they
right.
can't close out tonight. All right, ESPN Flyers Penguins Game 5 at 7. Golden Knights Mammoth Game 4 at 9:30. Flyers can close that series out with a win. They're up 3-1.
Magic are up 2-1.
Magic are. Oh, right, that's right. They won Game 3. I forgot. They won Game 3. Son of a bitch. That is crazy, man. That is nuts. I mean, but that's normally how it goes for teams that are trying to, not like losing in the first round like this, not to an 8 seed. But like you do normally struggle your first time into the playoffs. Baseball on other networks, you can find that at glennclarkradio.com. What's going on non-sports-wise?
Not a whole lot. Star Wars, just Darth Maul show. A couple new episodes of that on Disney+. So I'm excited about that. I don't think anybody else really cares, and that means there's nothing else.
All right, very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
I'll be watching that. So.
Thanks today to Qadry Ismail. Thanks also to Daniel Kelly. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the...
Kimmel's going to have Anthony Anderson and Oz the... Well, actually, I don't...
Oz, the mentalist?
I believe. I thought it was Oz.
Is it Oz, really?
I think it goes by Oz.
Does
but
it?
Will, I don't know because he was involved in something pretty...
the correspondence dinner, right. Yeah, I know. Is it really Oz?
Yeah, I believe it's Oz the mentalist. Because I also thought it was Oz, and then people kept calling him Oz. And I was
really?
Like, oh, I guess it's Oz.
I'm blown away.
Think he's an Oz fan?
I have no idea, and nor do I. I'm not concerned whatsoever. But
so
I
you're not
just
seeing his tour.
I had no.
How about Stanley Tucci and Brenda Song? They'll be on Fallon.
I might go to that tour because I do like both of them a good bit. All right, tomorrow on the program, Hall of Famer Rod Woodson will join us. We'll see where he thinks the Ravens are after the draft weekend and stuff and things. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Baltimore Orioles, the Costas Inn, your Baltimore area Highs Dairy Stores, Leading Edge Auto Body, Warnken Law, 1-800-GAMBLER, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Cruise Maryland, CountySports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, BuyAToyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday night. Go nobody. Duke sucks.